Turning our attention to our top story, which is about Tata Motors. The board of the company has approved that demerger, the demerger of their combined portfolio of businesses when it comes to their two separately listed companies is what they're wrangling for. Now, one is, of course, going to be on the CV business, the commercial vehicle business. The other is going to be on their passenger vehicles. And the Tata Group chairman himself, N Chandrasekaran, has spoken about how this demerger is going to help the companies, both these new entities, capitalize on more opportunities in the future. Let's find out what this could mean for shareholders, what it could mean for the stock and for the future of the company. The head of equity at Marketsmithindia, Mayuresh Joshi, joining us. Great to have you with us again, Mayuresh. Good evening to you. You know, as per the demerger plan, Mayuresh, at Tata Motors, all the existing shareholders of the company, they get to enjoy identical shareholding in both the listed entities that would emerge after this demerger. What are the net benefits you see for shareholders of Tata Motors ahead of the demerger and then after it?
Evening, Vikram. Always pleasure being on your show. Two aspects here. One, I think in terms of the ratio split that has come through, I think it's hardly going to make a difference to the Tata Motors shareholders who are enjoying both the benefits in terms of the CV and the PV business in the current avatar. Now, as the demerger takes place and as the management has put forth in their press release, I think the focus is more in terms of more launches happening in terms of the PV portfolio, both in the Indian context and in JLR and in context of JLR as well. And therefore, electrical vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and the software associated with that, I think that's going to be a huge growing and a focus area over the next few quarters. Now, if you've probably seen a lot of management commentary, Vikram, specifically as it comes to the PV business, I think the management is very clear in terms of having more launches as far as the Indian EV ecosystem is concerned. They're already having more than a 70% market share in the e-passenger vehicle market, and they want to consolidate that in terms of more launches over the next few months. For JLR in particular, I think the levers that are both cyclical and structural in nature, they've obviously been doing a lot of cost-cutting initiatives, both variable and fixed cost. They're also having an improvement in their product mix, specifically towards the Land Rover portfolio. And the combination of these factors is probably expected to ensure that EBITDA margins and EBIT margins in particular stay above the 8% mark. So in general, I think PV capacity expected to grow up to around 85,000 units as their Sanand plant starts operations in the first quarter of FY25. I think that will provide a huge boost in terms of new launches. The EV network itself is getting penetrated in more cities as we speak over the next few quarters. And overall, I think an improvement in both the PV EV margins as well as JLR, because of all the factors mentioned, should augur well for the PV business. Similarly, for CV, I think it's going through a sticky phase at this juncture. And it's always a cyclical business in terms of how capital activity is probably happening both at the center and the state level as well. And therefore, that cyclicality is something that Tata Motors, in my opinion, wants to probably have put forth in terms of their CV and PV businesses being separate. On the CV side as well, the ACE electric vehicle has been doing pretty well. They're expecting more launches coming through and also ramping up their share on the MHCV part of the business as well. So I think it's a good move in my opinion. Shareholders generally should enjoy more in terms of what the PV business can offer. And probably the CV business, as we look forward to the India growth story, structurally also should continue doing well. So in my opinion, I think a smart move in terms of having both dynamics played out separately with more launches expected on the JLR and the Indian front. PV business can do phenomenally well.
So, like you said, it's a smart move. How smartness is going to get more obvious as the competitive edge for Tata Motors becomes that much stronger. Already a subsidiarization has taken place in 2022 of the passenger vehicle and electric vehicle businesses. So now from the perspective of future growth and taking larger control of the competitive landscape, how do you think Tata Motors is going to fare, especially when you talk about their EV portfolio?
So I think it's tough out there, Vikram, to be very honest. So I think both on the domestic side and the global side, they are going to face tough competition. So as we track the global markets as well, I think a lot of global automakers have accelerated their R&D spends in terms of their EV suite. And therefore, a lot of launches are expected to take place over the next few quarters across the globe, specifically Europe, North America. China factor, I think, where a lot of sales happens for JLR, I think that should show some element of recovery at some point of time in the next calendar year. And therefore, I think the expectation in terms of competition building up on the global side of business as far as JLR is concerned, I think is going to be there. But I think JLR has a very smart suite or expectations of a portfolio coming through. And I think most players should do well, including its competitors as well. On the domestic front, as I said, they have a first mover advantage with more than a 70% share in the EPV market. They would like to consolidate that in terms of new launches, and the management has put forth that they will be having significant launches on the EPV side over the next few months. You've already seen the Tata Nexon EV.
Yes.
There's already a waiting period of 3 to 4 months. So
That's true,
competition
that's
will be
true.
there, but I
Yes.
think they will come.
Mayuresh, very quickly, because we are running short of time, how do you expect the stock, the Tata Motors stock to move? How will it behave as we draw closer to the demerger?
There might be some sentimental reactions, Vikram, but I think the stock has moved up significantly.
Yes.
So anybody holding on should hold on. And in fact, even their differentiated voting rights, the Tata Motors DVR, should also probably react positively. But I think structurally, I think it's a positive move. Sentimentally, there can be volatility in the stock.
Having you with us as always, Mayuresh. Such a pleasure having you on India Tonight. Thanks very much for joining us.